Gotham is mine. I know many things. I know how to hurt you. I'm everyone you've ever hurt. I'm their vengeance. Today on the Comic Book Report, Batman, the Batman of Gotham by Chip Zdarsky. Stick around and check it out. Greetings from Gotham, everyone. My name is Dominic, and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I'm back in the world of Batman, reading the ongoing Batman arc by Chip Zdarsky, one of my personal favorite comic book writers. This is the Volume 2, The Batman of Gotham, and it picks up after the Failsafe story arc. This does pick up, like I said, after the previous volume, but it does feel like a new story in many ways. This is a book that's been on my to-read list for some time. I'm so happy I was finally able to grab a copy, and frankly, I can't wait to talk about it. Before we do, though, I do want to shout out the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to it in the video's description, and if you see something there you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's get started with today's Batman review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Chip Zdarsky and illustrated by Mike Hawthorne. The comics in this volume were first published by DC Comics beginning in 2023. The volume itself collects Batman issues 131 through 136. And finally, this is a standard size hardcover edition with a matte print paper stock, glued binding, and a total of 224 pages. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at that standard size hardcover from DC Comics. We have Bruce Wayne walking out of the shadow of Batman. In the back, I believe we have Harvey Dent, as well as the skeletalized Commissioner Gordon. More on that in a little bit. Really a haunting image. This is definitely one of the issue covers in the collection, but this is what they chose for the main cover. I think it's definitely evocative and interesting, although it makes me wonder if they could have picked something a little more fitting for the story arc. But still a fine cover, all things considered. The spine, you can see here, it kind of helps become a wraparound with the back part of the dust jacket. Why I was a little disappointed on this is that I was hoping for some uniformity with the Failsafe volume. Sometimes with these runs, you'll have kind of consistent looking spines. This definitely looks quite a bit different from the Failsafe spine, so I'm not really sure what we're going to see with Volume 3. I did review Failsafe if you want an in-depth look at that. The back cover is fun. We have Batman fighting Red Mask. Again, more on that in a little bit, but the Dust Jacket's presentation overall is pretty strong. This is a really fun book here. Really like the look of the exterior. I actually also like the interior flaps we have of the dust jacket. We get some more art. I'll show you that right now. As we do a bigger examination of the dust jacket one more time, I'll also spread it all out so you can see some of that wraparound to spine image on the back cover and spine respectively. Really cool stuff. Like I said, I think the dust jacket, there are areas I maybe would have tweaked, but overall I think this sold the collection fine. I also like that it favored red. I would say Failsafe was favoring kind of a yellowy color. So it is nice to have some color variety in these books. The Under the Dust Jacket art print we have on the hardback book itself is basically a reproduction of what we have on the front of the dust jacket, just spread out. And then we have the spine, for all intents and purposes, reprinted, so it's not a true wraparound. We have some doubling up. I thought that this was an interesting choice, but it still looks very striking. I think the quality of the art print on the hardback is also quite good, which I like seeing. I love the bonus artwork we get under the dust jacket. I think it's just a cool facet of a lot of these books nowadays, and honestly, not too bad for this collection. Okay, and now that we're done with the exteriors, I did want to take a moment to examine the binding for all of you prospective collectors out there. So this is a glued binding on matte-ish paper. It's the paper they've been using for these collections recently. It is still a nice paper, it's just not a glossy paper, which is what I personally prefer. The binding here, though, is pretty strong. Like I said, it's glued, maybe a little bit of gutter loss, but nothing too bad. I think it's pretty well bound. Okay, and now it's time to jump into the book proper. I have to say, I love the end sheets with the bat signal. I love the title page we get, the publication page, and then we're kind of off to the races with the first issue in this collection. Again, I believe it's Batman 131, but it takes place directly after Failsafe. Brief kind of catch up for that. There's basically this robot that Batman kind of created that it fought Batman and some of the Justice League, and it ends the story arc with Batman being transported into some other dimension or other kind of parallel universe, and he's kind of laying in a gutter there, and that's where this issue picks up. So while I do recommend Failsafe because we have a couple kind of hanging plot threads that they build up on in this edition, I think if you didn't read Failsafe and you just wanted to jump into this for whatever reason, you honestly probably could. There was such a big transition after the last story arc that this feels like a fresh story in many ways. So we pick up with Batman kind of beaten up on the floor in this unfamiliar Gotham City where there was never a Batman. We find out that Bruce Wayne once existed, but that he has since passed away, and for whatever reason there just was not a Batman. We do get to see a lot of familiar friends as well as some of his villainous rogues gallery in this alternate world. One of the things I like that I believe Zdarsky was trying to address in this collection was this feeling that there's this tension that a lot of Batman fans have, and if you're a fan of the film franchise as well, a lot of people kind of ask, okay, are these kind of lunatics, all of these villains and monstrous people around Gotham City, are they only a response to Batman? Or is Batman there to fight them and they kind of coexist? Like, is Batman the cause of this level of villainy in Gotham? And what this storyline basically answers is no. This would have happened without him. There would have been villains everywhere. There just wouldn't have been a Batman to fight back. And I thought that that was really cool that it tackled that kind of age-old question and basically had its own definitive answer. And we basically have Bruce injured, beaten, without allies at first, trying to find what's going on here and, if possible, finding a way home. So that's predominantly the story arc we have here in the Batman of Gotham, but we have a lot of fun ins and outs. There's basically a young girl that kind of takes him in, nurses his wounds, gives him some basic equipment, and he even kind of toys with, I don't need another Robin, but we can see just this relationship dynamic he breeds with some of these teenage lost people that he kind of raises them up to kind of be better and to fight for their communities. So we have that character here. They don't do a ton with her, a little bit, but I would have loved to see even more character development there. But before long, we have Batman basically taking on the mantle of Batman once again. Before he does that, though, he gets in a fight with a venomed up Harvey Dent. So in this universe, he's not Two-Face, but he's been kind of this judge, executioner kind of figure that polices in a really brutal way Gotham City at the behest of the leader, which is this character known as Red Mask. But basically, Harvey Dent is all juiced up on venom, which is kind of the super steroid-like chemical that we have with villains like Bane. And we actually come to find that venom is used throughout this city, especially with their criminals, to basically be super strong and to enforce the will of this elusive Red Mask figure. We also have a character that's kind of Gotham's sort of billionaire in the place of Bruce Wayne, and this character we actually find out, again spoiler here, that actually is the Red Mask figure, and that's this universe's version of Joker, but he's not Jokerized. He basically has given himself Flash-like super speed, he kind of orchestrates all the organized crime empires, but he is not the Joker himself. And we find out that he's been experimenting with kind of parallel universe viewing technology, and he realizes that in these other universes he's given himself loose to complete chaos and becomes the Joker, and he realizes that's the degree of freedom he wants. He wants to break his mind in the way the Joker's was broken so that in his eyes he can finally be free to live up to his full potential, which he doesn't believe he is. He believes the Joker on these other parallel universes is the actual full expression of him as a person. So we find out that that's kind of this guy's arch scheme, this big villain Red Mask. He's trying to basically break his mind by kind of crashing his mind into the other universes at the moment Joker is made. So anyway, that's kind of going on. That's a subplot that builds up in that to the main plot by the end of this book. Along the way, though, again, we have Batman kind of trying to schmooze in an elite socialite kind of party. He encounters this universe's Selena Kyle. He finds Alfred, who is kind of married to Leslie Tompkins. He's lost Bruce Wayne, who he had as a son. We have really fun reactions here. We have Bruce kind of reminding himself, okay, this isn't my Selena Kyle. She's super dangerous. Heck, mine is really dangerous. We say, oh, this is not my Alfred, but I gotta be careful, but maybe not. We have him doing some detective work. We have him, again, taking on his own Batman costume and basically trying to fight. We have him fighting Riddler in this universe, which is a really fun sequence. So this is all happening, and he's basically slowly starting to realize that Red Mask is, in fact, pulling the strings of all of this. He might be the one involved with kind of all the conspiracies around this Gotham City. He realizes that Gotham here actually needs saving. That's why he's taken on the role of Batman here to try to clean it up as much as he can before he tries to get home. Selena Kyle takes him what he thinks is Arkham, but is actually an Arkham Cave system under Gotham City. This is an area where Red Mask has made his layers, where he's done experiments. He actually has captured the Flash, and he's kind of the tortured version that Bruce can't justify letting go because he's insane and he's worried he'd wipe out the world or something. We have riots breaking out. It's just a pretty epic conclusion at the end of this book that I actually think builds fairly well. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but there are just a lot of little plot threads here that are a lot of fun. But basically, we have a final confrontation between Batman and Red Mask. Ultimately, this is where we find out again that his scheme is to kind of break his mind like the Joker. Batman kind of says, "You're already crazy." And basically, he starts realizing that he can never be the Joker. He actually finds out that him trying to tamper with the multiverse is actually what helps create Joker. And when he looks, and he kind of looks into what happened in, let's say, like The Killing Joke, where the Joker had his origin story, air quotes, we actually have the Joker looking back at him. And this is the moment that kind of helps break his mind, because he has this kind of multiversal awareness, and it messes with his mind. And so we realize that Red Mask, even though his desperate dream is to become the Joker and broken like Joker, his destiny is actually never to be the Joker. No matter how many times he views it, he doesn't become Jokerized, but he can actually inspire the creation of the Joker in all of the different universes. And so then he starts scampering off into the multiverse, and Batman follows him, and this issue is truly fun. We basically have Batman and Red Mask jumping through all of the different universes in the DC multiverse. Maybe not all of them, but a good handful. We have the Vampire universe, we have the Adam West universe, we have what seems to be the Arkham kind of video game series universe, we have Batman Beyond, we have so many different Bat universes here. We have, I think, Dark Knight Returns era, and each time we have a variation of the art style, and it's a really fun multiverse story. Ultimately, Batman stops Red Mask, and he is freed and returned to his own universe by Tim Drake, Robin. This is the other subplot that's actually kind of the backup issue portion of each of the issues as we've made our way through. We have the main multiverse Batman story, and then a couple pages following Tim Drake's research and mission trying to find Batman. This is Tim Drake's kind of detective sequences, and we got incremental parts of his story where he basically gets Mr. Terrific to help him make a kind of multiverse jumping device, and he's basically trying to go to universe, trying to find Batman and bring him home. So that's kind of also going on as a subplot throughout this whole book, and ultimately, obviously, the storylines cross over where Tim Drake finds Batman after he's defeated Red Mask and brings him home. The final issue or so is basically kind of an epilogue to this Batman of Gotham storyline. He's at home, and everyone's kind of like, "Are you okay, Bruce? We're kind of worried about you." He's basically surprised or tricked into having a family dinner at Wayne Manor with all his Robins, things like that. And throughout this, we also have this looming threat, realizing that Failsafe from the first volume was never recovered. He's disappeared, and so there's this looming idea that Failsafe could come back, and it's super dangerous. In addition to that, in Failsafe, we had the appearance of Zur and Batman, the Zur Batman, which is Batman's creation he made for when he's mentally compromised. It's basically Batman without Bruce Wayne, and it's kind of an insane Batman in many ways. And we have his appearance in the end of this book as well, kind of giving us some backstory on how Zur created the Failsafe machine, and how Zur might still be invading Bruce's mind. So this is kind of the gateway that I assume sets up future story arcs as well in this Batman run from Zdarsky. I'm not sure what comes next, but I have a feeling that Failsafe and Zur Batman are going to play a prevalent role. And that's roughly where we land land the plane with this volume story-wise. Really, really fun stuff. The art from Hawthorne, I think, was pretty consistent throughout. Again, other than that multiverse issue where we got a lot of experimentation in different art styles for the different universes, which was a ton of fun. Otherwise, Hawthorne's art was pretty consistent. I didn't mind his artwork, but I think it was a little bit of a step down personally from the previous volume's artwork during Failsafe. Love the art we had from Jimenez during that. The artist Jorge Jimenez, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the Failsafe video. Love, love, love him as a Batman artist. I think Hawthorne did a fine job, but Jimenez's artwork I think is just a little bit stronger in my mind. So I was kind of bummed to see the little bit of a quality drop with the artwork. I know a lot of people I've read online or talked to have spoken pretty disparagingly about everything in Zdarsky's Batman after the Failsafe arc, and I have to say because of that, my bar for this second volume was very, very low. I was not hoping for a ton here, and I think maybe because of that, this was actually better than I expected it to be. I do think that there were moments that the premise was so big that we weren't able to go and drill down really deep with some of the character interactions that I would have loved to. We got some good exchanges between like the new kind of girl-ish Robin role we had in this multiverse. I also really love the interactions we got with like Selena Kyle and Bruce from this different universe. I really liked the interaction we got with the Red Mask kind of Joker villain. I like seeing the differences there. I did mention Alfred, but I probably didn't mention there's this really cool scene where Bruce is actually digging up that universe's Bruce Wayne in the graveyard, and Alfred kind of catches him grave robbing, and he basically says, hey, like he's dressed as Batman, but he says, hey, I'm Bruce, I'm from this world, I have to help, but I need to figure out what took this one out, and I gotta be prepared, and there's just these really intense moments. Toward the end, Bruce even tries to get Alfred to come home with them, and Alfred basically says, like, you're not my Bruce, I'm not your Alfred, but there's just so much love there, and it was just really great seeing Alfred and Bruce together again. Really hope we get Alfred back someday, but this was a really loving way to kind of do a tribute to that, and I like seeing that, frankly. I liked the kind of alternate universe versions of a lot of the villains. I think another one I didn't mention was Ghost Hunter shows up. He's also venomized. He's sent by Red Mask as kind of an assassin to take out Batman. And that fight is really, really fun as well. Ghostmaker obviously was introduced in the Ghost Stories story arc during the James Tynion era of Batman. One of my more favorite recent additions to the Bat family. Really a cool character. If you have any recommendations for stories with him outside of that Tynion book, let me know. I know he appeared in Batman the Knight, and I've heard he's shown up in like Batman Incorporated and stuff recently. Haven't read those yet, but would love feedback on those if you have. But anyway, this was still a pretty fun book. I think that if you go in with lowered expectations after Failsafe, you might still enjoy this like me. No, I do not think it held up as good as Failsafe. I honestly really loved that story. I think that that was a really cool throwback to a couple Morrison-era Bat touches, and the whole sequence with the moon, which I won't spoil here, I just thought was radical. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I thought it was so metal and fun. But anyway, I think that this was a little bit of a step down, story-wise, art-wise, but still great. You know, I am a fan of Chip Zdarsky, though, so to be full disclosure there, I had a feeling I still wouldn't think this was awful, and I honestly didn't. This was above average for me, and honestly, I look forward to reading more of this run. I think one of the biggest issues I had with it was I'm kind of getting a little bit of multiverse fatigue, which between the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just so many of these different comics that deal with multiverse lately, I'm just kind of over this as a subplot or a plot line in general. I do think that this was overall pretty well executed for a multiverse storyline. I like that we're now back in the main universe by the end of this, so it was just a single volume in this other world, and I do think it added some fun wrinkles to the Batman mythos. But again, I'm getting a little bit of multiverse fatigue, so I think that fed in a little bit to my reaction here. But this was not without some strong moments as well. The back of the book, we of course have some variant covers, which was great to see, a couple extras here. I actually really loved all the variant covers we got at the back of this book. Really a good handful of them. Love seeing that to round out the collection. Really, really nice touch, DC. I think in general, I would be really curious what all of you think of this Batman of Gotham storyline. Like I said, the initial impressions I got was not really favorable, but I certainly enjoyed it, definitely more than I thought I would. I think the art, while it's not Jimenez, was still fun. Love all the variant covers, love some of the twists and turns, and the character beats we did get, I found myself enjoying. This is definitely a series I'll continue to follow. I'm really still a fan of Chip Zdarsky, but let me know what you think in the comments, and now let's give this book a grade. There's that cover one more time. Okay, now for the grade. Okay, with still solidly consistent artwork from Hawthorne throughout, and admittedly a fun multiverse Batman story, the Comic Book Report is going to give Batman, the Batman of Gotham by Chip Zdarsky a B-. I do think that this is an above average storyline, even if it's just. I do think that there's a lot of good character moments throughout this book, and I did like seeing Gotham without Batman and kind of answering some of those age-old questions. Seeing these mirror versions of a lot of our favorite Bat family members was also a blast for me personally. I actually just realized I never got back to the skeletal Commissioner Gordon. Essentially, it is a hallucination he's getting from Scarecrow gas in this multiverse. Anyway, that's it. Fun haunting presence throughout this book. Really interesting. Anyway, yep, gonna give this book a B-, but I would love to hear what everyone else thinks in the comments. And I think with that, I'll just say thank you for watching. This has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, a comment if you have something to say, and maybe check out one of my other videos on your way out. Thanks so much. Have a good one.